Luck is when you bend down and say, oh, look, I found $5. That's luck. Luck is not, oh, look, I found Erling Haaland. Oh, look, I found Jack Grealish. Oh, look, I found a $200 million squad. I mean, come on. The squad was put together for nearly £1 billion or whatever it is. Hello and welcome to another episode of Yahoo Footballing Weekly with me, Yahoo columnist Neil Humphreys.
And me, Yahoo editor Chia Kyung. And returning for another time is our Man City fan, Haizam.
Hello, thank you for having me once again.
Yeah, we're fed up with having you on the show because we're fed up with Manchester City. 5th title in 6 years, beckoning. All right, let's go down the line. What do we think about that first? Go on, Han Kyung, you go first. We know what he thinks, obviously, but what do you think?
I mean, how do you get all this consistency? How do you battle against this consistency? Is how how all the other teams are trying to figure out right now. I mean, no matter what happens at the end of the season, Man City will go on like a 10-match winning run, and then just blow away all the opposition. All the opposition, like Arsenal, they're mentally short. They got untimely injuries, untimely loss of form. Their players a bit too young, a bit too inexperienced. So, I mean, we could see it coming. We didn't want it to happen,
Of course.
but
Gary Neville was right.
Yeah, Gary Neville was right all along. So fair play, but still, I think it's still a massive achievement for the players and obviously Pep Guardiola. I don't think Man City will have won 5 in 6 years without Guardiola.
Oh, definitely not. 100%.
100%. He's one of the greatest managers of our time, and I think that all should be applauded. But obviously, how do you beat Man City? Now the big question that will dominate things. I think back to the time when Liverpool was the only team among these 6 years which defeated them. That season, they went on a 29-match unbeaten run to start the season first. And then they got very, very lucky with no injuries, no major injuries to the team. Look at the current team, it's night and day. And that's probably the only way which you could plausibly overcome Manchester United right now.
I agree. Before Heisem jumps in to tell us how wonderful Manchester City is, honestly, I agree with you completely about Liverpool. I now think that Liverpool's title will be looked back on as something like a miracle. You know the way that Jose Mourinho looks back at his Man U time and says, me finishing, what was it, second was my greatest coaching achievement. I think we'll look back at Klopp's Liverpool title win in the middle of this dynasty, which is not going anywhere, and it will be seen as one of the great coaching miracles because I cannot see another team winning the league again for the foreseeable future. I don't want to be all downbeat, but I just can't see it because of the reasons we'll get into. But before that, come on in, Haizam. What have they done right this season in their transitional year? I hate to see it when it's not transitional.
I was expecting that statement coming. Okay, I think number one, luck will always play a factor. I think if you look at it like what Han Kyung said, when Liverpool won the title, COVID era, I think no injuries, to their main spinal of the team, that helped.
Yep.
I think when everything falls into place, it helps build that momentum. I think for Pep, especially when this season, I think even for City fans, when Cancelo was suddenly loaned out, I think City fans was like, he was arguably one of our best players last season. And to be able to release that, I think that had that fear of like, okay, so now what is Pep going to do? Like we are really short in that position.
And still hasn't fully settled it either.
And then you know what Pep does? Throw into another curveball, plays a whole different formation, and then it's like, is this Pep masterclass? So I think coming again, luck plays a part. Number 2, as a manager, and I think I spoke to Han Kyung before earlier on, you need to know with the players that you have, the set skills, you need to be able to adapt. And I think what Pep does in this transitional era, the period this season, is that he adapted. And I think when we bought Haaland, I think a lot of the rivals are saying that how will Haaland fit into Pep's tactics?
I agree with half of that. I'm trying not to laugh.
I knew it.
When you say the word Manchester City and luck, I'm struggling a little bit, Huggy, just a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. Luck is when you bend down and say, oh, look, I found $5. That's luck. Luck is not, oh, look, I found Erling Haaland. Oh, look, I found Jack Grealish. Oh, look, I found a $200 million squad. I mean, come on. The squad was put together for nearly £1 billion or whatever it is. Where's the luck, Haizam? Come on.
Luck of the UAE oil money.
Yeah, there's no luck involved. I think
Luck
you meant
of everybody
Luck of
forgetting of
everybody.
the 115 charges.
Oh, yes. Very good point. Very good point.
Everybody's forgetting.
Luck is having the best legal team, the best legal defence that can stretch this trial out for alleged, I don't have their lawyers, alleged allegations of cheating, of financial doping, financial cheating, whatever you want to call it. Where's the luck in any of that? I'm just asking, where's the luck?
We got a 4-leaf clover in our pocket. But then again, to dispute that, I think we are still looking at how Premier League, the legal team, is coming out with the fact that they just went dark with this says a lot about like what are the charges. Because I think for City it's like, okay, you want to throw us the book, be our guest. You want, if this is the way that subconsciously you want to derail the footballing aspect of City, please feel free. Because I think from a legal perspective, especially for clubs, like we will not be sitting down and just accepting the charges thrown. We will definitely contest.
Of course, every club will.
But then again, for the fact that Premier League has not come back and even reduced some of the charges, which kind of like suspect, like then what's happening right now?
What I feel, I mean, I've covered crime stories before. I think for financial crime, it takes time. It does take time to gather the amount of evidence. So I mean, I wouldn't expect them to finalize all the charges and all the things by this season, but there are ways of the legal teams of dragging it out. So I mean, we will see what maybe for the next 2 or 3 seasons, you'll never know. So
they'll drag it out. They will pay millions dragging it out for as long as possible. And speaking of dragging it out, I mean, looking at the seasons ahead, I wasn't being facetious or, Wayang when I said I don't see anybody else. I don't see how anyone realistically challenges Manchester City. Just look at the 2 main teams this season. Must-win games. Man City go to Everton, right? Their bench was De Bruyne, Silva, Jack Grealish and John Stones. Of the 4, only 2 of them came on for 10 minutes each. They were saving them for the Champions League, obviously. Then you go to the second best team in England, Arsenal. They also need to win. They lose 3-0 at Brighton. Their bench is Rob Holding. No disrespect to Rob Holding, but he's been dropped. Even though Saliba is injured, he's been dropped. They brought in that other young guy, Jacob Kiwiya. I'd never really heard of him. He's never hardly played. So you've got a deputy centre-back. You've got Kieran Tierney stepping in for Zinchenko. Ben White hasn't fully convinced as fullback. The point I'm making is the second best team in England is nowhere, really, compared to Manchester City. And they're the second best team. So who else is there? It's no coincidence to me that this has been one of the most panic-stricken seasons we've seen in terms of management, right? Chelsea can't, I mean, they've probably sacked another manager. Right? Chelsea are sacking their managers all the time. Tottenham sacked their manager. Manchester United replaced their manager last season. Why? Because they know they can't challenge Manchester City. The gulf is so wide, they're desperate to try anything. Who is the calmest team in the Premier League top 6 right now outside of Man City?
Newcastle.
Yes,
Newcastle.
it's Newcastle
Yeah.
because they're the only ones who know deep down
can.
they've got the resources to challenge.
They just need a few years.
I don't see anybody else. I don't see anybody else.
They just need a Champions League place this season. And
I think they'll challenge next season.
And they will challenge
I can see those 2 sides because Man City, Newcastle, both with Champions League football, is terrifying because they can afford anybody, they can attract anybody. And previously it was, well, if you don't have Champions League football, why should the world's best come to you? Now they have it.
But then again, if you look at it, like I think Klopp was mentioning that, I think in the previous press conference was like, if let's say they don't get Champions League, I mean historically Liverpool can pull the players. It's just a matter of convincing whether they are in the same page with the project, or even being part of a Liverpool history, or even like if you're talking
I
about
think that works with British players. I think with, say, Declan Rice. Declan Rice is a good example. I think he would possibly go to an Arsenal or a Liverpool. He would fit in beautifully at both teams. He understands their legacy, their history, and so on. I agree with you. But to a South American kid, a
African
Portuguese
kid.
kid, African kid, you go down the list. Liverpool, no disrespect, so what?
Yep.
Give me Champions League, give me money, and give me it now. I'm not interested in the fact that Liverpool once did so and so and so and so. Right here, right now, it's Man City,
even-
Barcelona, Real Madrid.
And even if he supports Liverpool, the agent might say, well, I can get a better slice of the
course.
commission. I'd rather go to Newcastle. And maybe they'll do a deal with Newcastle instead of Liverpool.
I mean, look, if he goes to Newcastle or Liverpool, he's not going to understand anybody in the city anyway, because they all speak...
Nobody understands Skulls anyway.
They all speak Geordie and
Geordie
Skulls.
and Skulls.
But let us know what you think before we move on. Will anybody challenge Manchester City next season, and who will it be? Send your comments to
Yahoo Southeast Asia on YouTube, Yahoo SG, Yahoo_MY on Twitter, and Yahoo SEA on TikTok.
Now, my esteemed colleague has rushed back to do this podcast
Yes.
because he was at an earth-shattering press conference.
Shattering, something that will shake the roots of Singapore football.
What? Tell us what's happening.
For 1 week in July, for one whole week in July, you're
Fiesta.
going to have 3 massive pre-season friendlies.
Well, 2 and 1 with Leicester.
So it's Spurs versus Rome on the 26th of Roma on 26th of July.
Yeah.
Liverpool versus Leicester City, which might have been relegated by then, on the 30th of July, before ending Liverpool versus Bayern Munich on the 2nd of August. So one whole week, they call it the Singapore Festival of Football.
wrong timing.
All five European teams will
Just
be
for
in.
context, this Singapore Festival of Football, I can't even say it with a straight face. Right? This Singapore Festival of Football has been announced less than 1 week after the Young Lions, Singapore Young Lions, were defeated 7-0
Yep.
by Malaysia.
Timing is
The
perfect.
timing is exquisite. If this was a Hollywood movie, you'd say it was too obvious. It was too obvious. The symbolism is too obvious.
You cannot write this.
This is this and this is that. It's almost too obvious.
Yeah.
Right? What do we think of these EPL tours? Come on.
I mean, obviously it's very popular. You get your Liverpool fans, Spurs fans, even the small Leicester or Bayern fans or Roma fans very happy that they are coming down. You have a chance, no matter how small it is, to mingle with your football heroes.
That's the key.
That is fine. I mean, it's a harmless event, but you got to at some point in time, somebody in Singapore must have a question like, are we doing it for football industry, or are we building a proper football team? Are we going to build a proper football team instead? No. What are our resources? How are we going to balance these two things? I mean, I wrote a Facebook post last week which generated a lot of talk among my friends, saying my unpopular opinion, we should stop inviting Liverpool, all these teams come here for all the things, and use all these resources, somehow channel it to youth development. We might get somewhere for our national team.
Yeah.
But a lot of fans say, why are you so like that? A lot of my friends say, why are you so like that? We want to enjoy meeting our football heroes.
Yeah, Basket, I shared that, and then I got a lot of crap. I got your crap piled onto my crap. I get enough crap. I
didn't see that, so
his crap.
Generated even a lot of talk in terms of that. I think, okay, if you look at it from a historical point of view, when you have European teams coming to Singapore, I mean, and I spoke before we shoot this, it's always been a money-making generating for them.
Yeah,
It's like
obviously.
you know that they can jack up the prices to watch the games. And I
But by
think-
the way, we just now we saw the price
I think
is
the
$99 for the most highest nosebleed seats. $199, $249 for the good seats.
And Neil was saying, we are paying more
Then
than if you go fly to watch a game in UK.
Yeah,
Tickets is way cheaper over there.
Most EPL tickets would cost less than 200 Singapore dollars. So ridiculously, we are paying much more for much less because it's a pre-season friendly played at probably 20-30%,
Yep.
if that, of speed
It's a
and
it's a
intensity.
preseason.
It's a preseason.
It's still a preseason. It's not competitive. There's nothing to play for, and players are just coming here, on a request because the club wants to earn money, sponsors here and there. It's more of a money making machine for them rather than football.
Spot on.
EPL tours are not about football.
Nope.
The EPL football tours to Singapore are not about football. They're about money. And let me be really blunt, and it will upset a few people, because if it was purely about football, they wouldn't come here.
Nope.
Because we do not have a football culture proven by what happened in the SEA Games.
We were there last year when Jurgen Klopp press conference, and he said the same thing, right?
Right.
He would rather train back in
Correct.
Europe.
So they're not coming here for the football. They're not coming here for our local grassroots football development because it's in a mess. They're not coming here for our football culture because we don't really have one at the moment. So if you we don't have the football culture that Malaysia has, or Indonesia has, or Thailand has, or just about any of our SEA Games rivals have. What we do have is money. And that's the only reason they're coming here. And at least be honest about it. I won't even use the word football. Honestly, I'd call it a celebrity tour.
Yep.
It's a celebrity tour. In fact, I'll go a step further, right? These EPL celebrity tours reminded me of Blackpink, right? Now, Blackpink were here a couple of days ago, right?
Last night they performed.
Did you see all the complaints?
Saturday.
Sunday,
Did you see all the complaints?
Yeah,
They said people pay hundreds of dollars,
To
not
see-
even to listen or watch, just
yeah.
to put their phones in the air. Hey, it's just to say I was there.
Precisely.
I think this is exactly the same.
You happen to-
We have reduced EPL football to a Blackpink gig. It's not about the quality of the performance.
Nope.
It's not about the quality of the gig. It's about, let me take some selfies to show that I was there. This is an entertainment spectacle for the Instagram
Yeah.
crowd.
It's
This
for
has
the
got
social
nothing
media.
to do with sport.
It's as irrelevant as it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Blackpink, EPL, what's the difference?
And I think that's the saddest part, because you see, like, we, for the longest time when European clubs come, we have always been suckers. We have always been suckers. Unfortunately for that. Okay, I try to relate, because I remember in 2012 when City won the title, City sent an under 14 team to play in the Malayan Cup.
Oh.
So the parents came with the players. So the parents had this mindset that who's gonna watch City play? And then we bunch were supporting the players. So one of the parents actually messaged us saying that he was so heartened at the fact that we have fans from him. So I think the idea is that if the plan is correct, like the players will feel like, oh, it's really something for them. But for these superstars, like they come to Southeast Asia, like long haul flight.
They don't want
They
to be
just
here.
have to do
They
it for their
do not
sponsors.
want to be here.
Like I could have just taken an extended holiday, and then come back for training 3 weeks or 2 weeks before the season starts. Instead, I have to accede to the club's request, sponsors' request, come to Asia, sign, show pictures, some interviews, and which is like, is it relevant to my career as a player?
Obviously not.
And let's be blunt to it. I'm not saying that we are becoming party poopers or bus killingtons, but this is the reality of it. And like what we mentioned earlier on, coming right straight after that Causeway Derby losing 7-0, it's really the wrong timing to announce
It
this.
sends the wrong message because
That's the wrong message.
look, see it for what it is, as we say, celebrity, bit of fun, pay your $200, you crazy so-and-sos, pay the money, watch your fun, take your photos, but don't tell us about football development.
No,
because
no.
this has
Obviously,
nothing to do
this
with
no.
football development. If you watch a Singapore Premier League game, you see a kid play, you say, my kid from Sengkang could do that. If you see Liverpool play, you don't think my kid from Sengkang can do
No,
that.
yes.
It's just, it's a whole different thing. It's a whole different pathway. It's a celebrity circus. Enjoy the celebrity circus.
Yes, let's call it a circus,
A festival of football.
A festival of football brought to you by the nation that lost 7-0 to Malaysia. Fabulous. Right,
Yeah.
speaking of circuses, let's wrap this up. Pochettino taking over at Chelsea. What do we think?
Well, on paper, fine. I think it's a fine appointment. I think he has shown that he has improved squads everywhere. The problem is this squad is not the usual squad. It's a dysfunctional squad, to say the very least. So if he takes over, if you see, okay, the only scenario which he might succeed is he gets a lot of financial backing from Todd Boehly, and he does as quickly as possible. He gets rid of half the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know start from the beginning, rebuild a team from scratch. He might have a chance to succeed if he dilly-dallies on which player should I sack, which player should I let go. The team will not succeed.
I agree with all of that. I can't disagree with any of that. Yeah. I was just looking at it for the benefit of our listeners, just to recap this mess. In the last year or so, they've had 4 managers. He'll be the 5th. Thomas Tuchel, Graham Potter, Bruno Salter, and Frank Lampard. They're in 11th place, which means they'll finish in their lowest position, the bottom half of the table, for the first time since 96.
Whoa.
They've spent £600 million in a year on 18 players, which means they've used 32 players this season, which means they have so many players in training that some of them have to change in the corridor, right? They can't even fit them in the dressing room. So there's your answer. Just let the football manager manage the football team. And that could be it. As simple as that. What do you reckon?
The American Cowboy, once again, making Chelsea become a National Football League team of the American football kind. Like, we have like 48 players in the team, and then like...
The thing is American football.
It's like, we have the quarterbacks. We got like 10 quarterbacks, and then we got like 20 running wides. Is like ridiculous. I think with Pochettino's appointment, hopefully when he gets Chelsea, I think it's gonna be like, hey, I have the cheat code. I have activated my cheat code that I wanted for the longest time when I was Spurs manager. You know, from Levy to where he's going to be right now, it's really an upgrade financially. Yep. And I think the fact that he coming in with a better reputation than Potter, I think he will have more slack, because he will have that idea of like, I want which players to have, rather than answerable to the chairman, like, I know, you tell me what play. I want the players.
I think the players also sort of more will respect Pochettino.
I agree. And I think with Potter coming in, that was already the scenario that Moyes had when he joined United.
Yeah,
the players are like, who are you? Like you didn't even win the title. Like you cannot even relate to us. Like, and here you are trying to manage us. Like,
and here we are 10 years later, and West Ham players are doing exactly the same thing to David Moyes. Who are you, David Moyes? Who are you?
West Ham.
Looks like they're going to stay up for another season anyway. But let us know what you think about the circus at Chelsea by sending all of your comments to
Yahoo Southeast Asia on YouTube, Yahoo SG, Yahoo_MY on TikTok, Yahoo SEA on TikTok.
He's only been doing it for a season.
Yeah, a season, still couldn't
get it
right.
Thanks for coming in, Haizam. You're going to stick with us for part 2?
Yes, of course.
All right.
This is the part that I'm really looking forward to.
Right.
Part 2.
Right.
You do not want to miss part 2, where we'll be stuck into all things SEA Games, Singapore football, and 7-0 to Malaysia. See you soon for the carnage of part 2.